مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. There are certain misconceptions about zakah. For instance, that zakat is only payable in Ramadan, or that zakat is only payable on gold, or some people think that zakat shouldn't be payable on gold because gold is for personal use, or that zakat cannot be paid to relatives. Another misconception is that zakat is like tax, and why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taxing us? So today we will cover those issues. Firstly, when is zakat payable? Zakat is payable on annual savings. 2.5% on annual savings. So let's say if you have £1,000 and that £1,000 has been with you for a whole year, even though it fluctuated in between. So let's say you had £1,000 to start off with, and then it went to £700, then it went up to £1,500, but actually then after a year it still came down to £1,100. And then so zakat is payable on that £1,100. Now, how do you calculate a year? You have to fix a date, and it's according to Islamic calendar rather than Gregorian calendar. So for instance, you can pick any date of the year. You can, let's say the Islamic calendar starts from the 1st of Muharram, and you can pick 1st of Muharram in 1444 Hijri. And then obviously you go through Muharram, Safar, Rabiul Awwal, Rabiul Thani, all those 12 months. And then whenever the 1st of Muharram comes, in the next year, 1445 Hijri, that's your whole year. Then you work out your assets, how many assets you have, and then zakat is payable on that. So it's a misconception that zakat is only payable in Ramadan. Now, why have people decided to pay zakat in Ramadan is because obviously we know that in Ramadan, the reward is multiplied. You can get up to sevenfold reward. And as a result, people then choose to give zakah in Ramadan and calculate in Ramadan. But even in Ramadan, it doesn't mean the whole month of Ramadan. You have to pick a date and you have to pick a day. So for instance, you might choose to pay zakah on the 7th of Ramadan every year. So when the 7th of Ramadan comes, you calculate your assets, i.e. how much gold you have, how much silver you have, how much hard cash you have, and if you have any stock, if you do any business, then how much it is. And then you calculate zakat on that. Now, what you can do after that, let's say all of your assets came up to £7,000 after you've valued the gold and silver and also the cash that you have in your business and also in your bank. Then you have to work out two things. How many of those assets are for your personal use? So zakat is not payable on your personal use. So for instance, you have 4 cars and each of those cars are for your personal use. Then zakat, and the value of those cars might be, £30,000, but zakat is not payable on those because they are for personal use. But if you're in the business of buying and selling cars, then zakat will be payable on those cars because they're not for personal use. Similarly, let's say you have phones, you have 10 phones, and the value of those phones is about £3,000, and you all have them all for personal use. Zakat is not payable on that. But if you buy and sell phones, and then that's a commodity, that's a stock that you have, and as a result, zakat is payable on that. So similarly, there are so many other examples, and there obviously then technicalities, especially if you have a business, how much zakat, how much, like for instance, how much you have bought for and how much you have to give that, you have to work that out. One of the misconception is that, well, if zakat is payable on those things that are not for personal use, how about gold? Because gold is for personal use, why is zakat payable on that? And the reason for that is that, according to Fiqh Hanfi, is that before gold, there used to be golden coins. So gold was a tradable commodity, and it's really, if otherwise people could very easily just buy gold and say, well, gold is for personal use, and as a result, we shouldn't pay zakat on that. So zakat is payable on gold and silver, and it's, if it reaches certain threshold for gold, it is 87.48 gram, and for silver is 612 gram gold silver, and then zakat is payable, and anything that if reaches that threshold. Zakat is payable to certain beneficiaries that are mentioned in the Holy Quran, and if you have a relative that is poor, genuinely poor, or relative that is miskeen, then it is better to give zakat to those relatives. So sometimes people say, well, if you don't have any cash and you only have gold, then is zakat payable? Yes, zakat is payable. So for instance, many of our sisters only have gold, let's say, and so zakat is payable if it reaches certain threshold, and which is the nisab, which we have mentioned in this episode. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to understand the rules of zakah and help us to pay and discharge our obligation, inshallah.